Hello, my fellow simmers. I hope you're all doing awesome out there. And for this video, I am obviously going over GShade. Now, if you don't know what GShade is, it is a wonderful program that you can have in game. And if you want to take screenshots, say for your thumbnails or any other forms of social media for the game, this is a great way to do it. It's basically like having, a photo editor inside your game that you can tweak with different shaders, of course. So I'm not an expert in shaders, don't get me wrong, but I am familiar with GShade, and so for those of you who are new to it, this video might help you out. So if you are more familiar with Reshade, then you know that GShade is basically the same thing. It's just that each one has different pros and cons, and depending on what you want to use, of course, or what you like, Reshade might be better for you or GShade might be better for you. I've never used Reshade, so I can't go there and talk much about that. I do know, however, that with a lot of GShade's recent updates has kind of pissed people off. Apparently, there's been some misread information that spiraled into BS about the devs putting malware into GShade at one point. And I'm kind of glad I haven't been using GShade for some months now, so I kind of avoided all the drama, thank God. Anyways, you know how it goes with the internet. One thing can get twisted and then it can just spiral into a big mess from there and spread false reports. So anyways, GShade is perfectly safe. Just make sure you're downloading it from their legit site. And I'm not going to go into depth about what happened or anything. I'll leave some links below. You can check that out yourself and decide, whether you want to use GShade or not yourself, of course. But as far as the forced updates or the GShade forced updates or whatever, it is a free source program, like I said, and that's why it's always a good idea to back up your presets anyway, so you don't lose them, because apparently these forced updates will screw up your presets. I've never had an issue with that in the past myself, so I don't know when that started or what update that would have started on, to be honest. So anyways, like I said, if you want to read more about it, I'll leave the links below. And in my opinion, GShade is still a really great program to use. With The Sims 3, we're just looking at that, and that's not too deep or too technical. It's fairly easy to use. But anyway, so I'm going to show you how to install it, how to uninstall it, and of course, how to use it. So the nice thing, it says it right here, is that GShade can auto-detect settings for over 300 games, meaning you can just, jump right in. Also, it says here, GShade is a premier and always free, open source fork of Reshade, which means modified, with expanded features, optimized shaders, and over 450 presets included out of the box. So I was planning on making this tutorial like a year ago, and I took it out of my game. I actually haven't had it in my game for about a year now. Yeah, so things happen, so it just ended up on the back burner. So, but I am, however, creating this video today. So if anything about this video you like or helps you out, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps my channel out, and it'll bring you more videos like this in the future if you want that. So on that note, let's get started. So for downloading, you just want to go to their website here, which of course I've linked below, and then click here on the download option and it'll bring you here. Now this is something new. They didn't have this before, so apparently you can install the shell script. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but the Mac option wasn't here before the last time I installed GShade, which was about a year ago. So yeah, that's new. The Mac thing is new. And of course, if you have Linux, I'm not sure about those, but anyways, I'm on Windows. And so yeah, you just want to click on the Windows installer there, either the image or down here, and it'll install into your downloads folder. Now I'm just trying to bring that over. Okay. Oh, I installed it twice, right? So I already had it. Anyways, so let's just click on the installer. Please select your language. Okay. Agree. And And oh yeah, so the automatic path detection, of course, this is where you want to target game or program. So you need to open up your install directory for Sims 3. So mine is on a different drive, wherever that is. It should be in your program files, if it's on the C drive. So where am I here? Documents. Wait, I have to go back. It's install. Okay, back. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, in documents, Sims 3 game, and then bin. And then you just want to pick the exe, so the ts3.exe or the ts3w. I'm not sure if it makes a difference really, like if you're on Steam or not. But anyways, I'm just going to use the ts3.exe. So just click on that. Automatic path detection. Oh yeah, so it can automatically detect where it is, but it might be easier to just choose exactly where it is anyways. Okay, then click next. And so here you want to click 32-bit because the game is 32-bit, and you want to click on, go up. Okay. Under graphics API, you want to click on DirectX 9. For the hooking, you can just click on normal mode. And these are optional, so I've noticed there are a few more selections here than there used to be, but just keep it on whatever the default is. If you want the shortcuts on the desktop, which I recommend, and then convert existing presets to GShade. So, I mean, that would mean more for someone who is moving from Reshade to GShade, or if you want to convert your Reshade files to GShade. Backup settings and presets, install Moogle Shade, whatever that is. Enable in-game overlay controller. That's if you're using a gamepad or a controller, you'd want to click on that. Enable desktop update or reminder. You can click on that. You can always go into your control panel and check for updates that way too. So that all looks good. That's all checked fine. And then that's just all the presets, or all the filter presets that you can check out, different automatic filters that are already done. If you want to go that way, you could check all those and check them out in your game as well. One thing though, that you'd have to be careful with some of these too, because, and I'll explain more of that when we're in GShade, that some of them can be a little bit more taxing on your hardware than others, depending on what kind of filters you are using. All right, so just click install, let it do its thing. All right, so yeah, this one here. So for your screenshots, you want to maybe choose a different path for where you want your screenshot saved. Screenshot. Say that really fast. Screenshot saved. Oh my goodness. Okay, so just click browse. I like to have mine on my D drive, or is it on my G drive? Sorry. So I'm just gonna highlight my G drive and say okay. And wait a second. Did I make a folder for that already? Actually, you might want to make a folder for it before you do that. Because I'm not sure if it makes a folder for it or not. I can't remember, but I think I already have one here somewhere. Oh, come on. Oh, I got my GShade presets. Where are my GShade? Oh, wait a second. I think GShade presets. Actually, I think I did save my screenshots on a different drive and I didn't mean to. So I'm just going to go to my D drive here. I bet you it's here. I have too many drives. Oh my goodness. Come on. GShade screenshots. Did anyone see it? Oh, here we are. Yes. GShade screenshots. Okay, there we go. All right, and then just finish. And it says the folder for your screenshots was successfully set. So just click yes. And now it brings you to, oh yes, the quick reference guide. So I highly recommend, I know it's really small print, but you can like zoom it in, of course, depending on your PDF viewer. But I do recommend going over all of this. When I first started with GShade, it really helped me understand a lot of things. So yeah, I would really, like, if you're new to GShade, definitely read it through. So a lot of the most important things or whatever I'll mention while we're in there, and I'm showing you how to use it and stuff that I've learned along the way. All right, so now let's go over the control panel. So it should have left a shortcut on the desktop. And here's the control panel here. So this, of course, is where you can check your no updates available and your installation. This is where your installation executable is, of course. This is really good and handy if you're searching for your presets. So you can just go and click on there and GShade will automatically make a folder within that folder bin, like where your game installation is, called GShade presets. So whatever presets you make in GShade, they'll get saved here. And when you uninstall GShade, this folder will stay. Everything else will go except for the GShade presets. I believe. If you want to like uninstall GShade altogether with everything, you're better to use a program like Revo Installer or something like that instead of the control panel uninstaller. So here's where you can update your presets. Custom shaders and textures are there. So tools, this is where you can launch the converter if you want to convert your reshade presets to GShade if you're switching over. And yeah, this is where you can launch the uninstaller, of course. And then the support, this is really important because if you run into problems, Discord's really good to go and ask, for help. GitHub, whatever, has a lot of good information. Of course, this is where you can access that guide that I just showed you, or you can download it. And then, yeah, this just tells you about whatever the program a little bit. So that covers the installation and that covers the control panel. And so now let's just go into game and then I'll show you how to use GShade, of course. All right, so my sim I made a million years ago, Blue Note, I made her as a sim self of how I used to look when I was younger. I don't look like that anymore. But yeah, she's the volunteer, and here's her little baby in the background. A lot of times, most of the time, I actually would suggest maybe putting your sim outside and creating a preset. So you have the landscape as well as a sim, and make sure it's, a nice, beautiful, clear day before creating your preset. But I'm just, we're inside, so that's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna just toggle on the GShade UI, and I've created a hotkey for that. So that's the first thing I'm gonna show you under settings here. You're gonna have the hotkeys that you can set for yourself. So for the overlay hotkey, I set for F1, so that will turn off and on the UI. And then for turning on and off your presets, you can set your hotkey for that. I chose F4, and that turns it on and off. You won't see these hotkeys here. It'll be defaulted to 2 hotkeys, I believe. But yeah, so you can just set those to whichever ones you like, of course. GShade doesn't override any gaming hotkeys. And then so you want to make sure when you're creating your own hotkeys that you don't use like a gaming hotkey, because it'll do something really annoying if you use it. Anyways. So those are the ones that I use. So that's where you can set those for yourself. And if we come down here to screenshot, so this is where you can set your taking pictures of your presets, screenshots in GShade. So I set my hotkey to N. If I enable my preset, then I can just use the N key to take pictures. And you'll hear that little sound. You can just enable and disable that here if you want. But then, it gives you a better indication on if the picture is being taken or not. So I leave it on. I'm just going to disable the UI now with F1. And so if I want to take pictures with my preset on, of course, I'm going to use the N key. And then if I want to take a picture without the preset on, I'll take the normal in-game picture, or screenshot, which is using the C key. And so even if you have your preset enabled and you use the in-game screenshot key, it'll just show the plane without the preset on, if that makes sense. I hope. Anyways, so if you want to have screenshots of your presets, you need to use the GShade hotkey. And then for without it, use your in-game hotkey. So now coming down to the user interface settings here, down here you can do a couple things. If you want, you can change the theme of your user interface. So I have mine set on reshade and it's blue. I like the color blue, as you can tell. And then there's different ones you can choose. So light, or the defaulted GShade theme is red, and you can make a custom one too. So there's a custom simple, and then there's a custom more advanced here. But I'm going to leave mine on reshade. Okay, so that's what you can do there. Coming up to the top left, you'll see a little triangle here. So if you want to move around the UI around your screen, you can just grab onto that top left corner and drag it around. Now be careful when you see this blue overlay here. It will make the UI cover your whole screen, and it can be a little difficult to get it back to where you want it. So that's how you can move it around. And then if you want to widen the UI, you can just drag the edges back and forth like this to make it big or small. so moving on, let's go to the home tab here, and this is where you're going to find all your filters. So depending on how the clock speed of your CPU is, how fast GShade filters will load. So keep that in mind too, if it's taking a little longer. So this is what you'll see to begin with. You'll see all your filters here. And first I'm going to go over how you can make your or start creating your own preset, and then I'll go over the filters in that. You'll have these options at the bottom down here. So you have performance mode and save preset automatically. Make sure that the save preset automatically stays on. Performance mode, if you uncheck this will bring up the fine tuning sliders for each filter that you choose. So like I said, it'll take a minute. Here we go. So if you, whatever one that you choose, say you choose adaptive tint, yikes. Okay, it'll bring up the fine tuning for that specific filter below here. And this is where you can adjust everything for that filter. Okay, so before you make a preset, you do, however, want to have a little bit of understanding how filters work, how they interact with each other, and how the loading order should be. So basically, by rule of thumb, the heavier filters like the MXAO, the popular MXAO, should be more on the top. And then you can work your way down from there, sharpening kind of filters, and then down to the lighter filters, which would be, you know, color correctness and light correctness and stuff like that. So the anti-aliasing, that's more like sharpening kind of filters, and that can go more in the middle underneath your heavier filters like MXAO. Okay, and we'll get into that. So I did make a preset for specifically for this video. It's not like a specific preset. It's just, you know, as an example here. So first I have the heavier filters on the top here, and I don't have them enabled because I'm going to show you something in a minute. So if you want to move around your order of filters, you can just uncheck it and then move it around like up and down like that, drag it up and down. So any filter that you do choose for your preset, you can click on active to top, and then that preset will just automatically get moved to the top so you can, you know, find it easier. First, to create a preset, you're going to want to name it and create one. So you can come over here to the top bar here, and where it says add a new preset, just click on that plus button. And so you can start from scratch, so you can add a new one here. So just, you know, name it whatever and enter. You can also copy existing presets to a new preset. So if you want to use a certain preset that you have and you want to build on that preset, you can copy those filters. You can carry over to a new preset. So here you would just rename it on the top here and click enter, and then all those filters will be included in that new preset, and then you can just add from there. So yeah, if you do click on this top bar, it will show you, of course, the directory to where your presets get saved, and this is where you want to have this save preset automatically checked. That way, whatever presets that you're making will get saved to this directory here. And so this is where you can choose the different kind of filter or different presets that you want, obviously, to use. So with The Sims 3, obviously, you know, you're either wanting to create different photo shoots for different thumbnails or social medias that you want to show off, or, you know, if you want to make a different kind of preset like for gaming. So that's all going to depend on what kind of filters you're going to use, of course. So for gameplay, you might not want to use heavier filters, right? Like the shadowing depth or ambient occlusion filters and that. So this is my gameplay preset that I made a long time ago. I know it's a lot of fun to create presets, and you want to, you know, you're excited to want to share them and stuff, but just keep in mind that whatever hardware and monitor you have, not everyone has the same thing. So it's going to look different on other people's monitors, right? So what you have or what you see isn't going to look the same for them. So when I made this on my older computer with an older monitor, and I did share this preset on my Tumblr as well, but I did use lighter filters for it, and I only used 4 for this one. Sometimes less is best, you know, when it comes to making presets as well. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, yeah, having a good idea how filters interact with each other will, you know, help you understand how to make your own presets. So having the order as like the heavier ones on top, and then the sharpening ones in the middle, and then, you know, stuff like color corrections and contrast correction, lighting corrections on the bottom, the lighter ones. I have some here that I can go over a little bit, but if you want to know more about shaders and get more deep in how they work, I will leave some links below so you can check those out. So for tone map here is a nice one for the skin tone, obviously. So if we come down here, we can fine tune it and it will have a gamma setting so you can make it, lighter or darker. And then it has a saturation here. So how washed out or how heavy you want the saturation to be or the color to be. To reset any of your fine tuning sliders, you can click on these arrows here and it'll reset it back to the default setting. Also, keep in mind when you are creating a load order for your presets, for your filters, that some filters could drown out other filters. So it will affect the strength of some other filters as well, depending on how you have this. So you're going to have to just kind of play around and see what works for you. Of course, it'll be easier to do that if you're not working with so many filters to begin with. As far as how the filters affect your hardware, that is important to keep in mind. Depending on your graphic card, if it's, an older graphic card, using the heavier filters will affect your graphic card more so. And this is why I have the frame rate up here. So my game is defaulted to 60 FPS. Now with Sims 3, some people have theirs set to 60 or 30. And so the game runs better on the lower frames per second, of course. So, because it's an older game. So you can test how these filters are affecting your GPU. It has that option in GShade to monitor that. So to turn your FPS on, you can come down here in the settings tab and just scroll to the very, very bottom here. It'll have an option to show it. So you can turn it off or on here. And then it has a slider at the bottom here so you can make it small or bigger, however you like. All right, so now to test out how these filters are affecting your GPU, like your MXAO. If you turn this on, you'll see how the frames per second goes down. If you turn another one on, like a DOF, and a DOF is a nice filter to use, it gives that blurring effect in the background. So, and then of course you can come down here to the fine tuning and tune the strength of the blur. The far blur curve, you can, either make it as blurry as you want or unblurry as you want. This one is a heavier filter. So yeah, you see as when I turned that on, the FPS went down to 45. So it did jump down quite a bit. So if I turn it off, it goes back up to 60. So another thing, say if you wanted like a bunch of MXAOs together, so you want Quint. Now Quint can be a better one to use than the main one. It's a little lighter on your GPU and it still gives you that shadow effect. So if you see here, if I can zoom in properly, if I turn it off and on, you can see the difference there. And then of course you can fine tune that down here as well, how big you want the shadows to be or the strength of them. If you want to see how much this is affecting your GPU, and say you want 2 or 3 of these turned on, your heavier filters, you want to, if you come over here to the statistics tab, it shows you a live performance graph on how it's affecting it. You can see here, it'll show you all the filters that you have active and how much energy it's drawing from your GPU. So you can see that it's drawing quite a bit of energy from your graphic card. And then you can see that your FPS has dropped dramatically with those 3 enabled. So if we come back here and disable them, it'll jump back up. Yes, you want to keep in mind when you're making presets, and especially if you're making presets that you want to share, it might, affect the performance of the game. Now, like I said, you can get away with it a little bit here using the heavier ones because the game still performs well with the lower FPS anyways, but just don't go too crazy with them is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so yeah, basically just play around and have fun. That's the best way to obviously figure out what's going to work for you and what you're going to like. Go through all the filters and experiment. There's a ton of them. So yeah, I don't know much else what I can show you with GShade. I think I've covered, the basics as much as I can and showed you what I've learned. And if you want to learn more about MXAO, I did leave a link below that you can check out an article and give you more information on how to use this filter or give you more of an idea of how this filter works. Anyways, other than that, that's it for this video. That's a wrap. And until next time, guys, have a good one.